Alright, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been going through this class website example, the one that we're going to build as a class, but I wanted to put it out there so if anybody wanted to take a look at it, they'd be able to do so. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff open here. That looks a little better. Alright, so I want to go over to my script.js file, which is currently empty, and start filling it in. First thing I'm going to do is to declare some constants. Now, older versions of browsers, some of the older ones won't recognize that word const, just so you know that. So min miles equal, we'll make that 1. That's the minimum number of miles that you can drive. Const max miles, let's make that equal to, so minimum miles are 1, maximum miles we're going to make, we're going to make equal to about 1,000. Okay, I like the way that looks. All right. Min gals for minimum gallons. That'll be, let's say you have to put at least a gallon of gas in. It wouldn't make a lot of sense if you didn't. And max gals, we'll say the most gallons that you'll put in. Let's just say we'll make that 100. Those are arbitrary amounts, so again, they could be changed. All right. First, we'll create an alias for the document.getElementById function. And we do that by just saying var $ equal function ID. And we will return document.getElementById with the ID. What that means is now, instead of saying document.getElementById with something in there, we'll just use the $ with whatever in there. So it's a shortcut. Let me hit enter a bunch of times here. Right. Now, create driver function. All right, so var main equal function, and you notice that both of these don't have a name for the function. All right, so they're both anonymous functions. So var main equal function, paren, and var miles equal parse float. We want to grab whatever is in the miles text box. Which is what that's going to do. And it'll grab that one also. All right. Value in miles text box, value in gallons text box. All right. Var is valid, which is going to be a flag, equal true. We'll call that our valid flag. All right, so, well, what do we have to check for? Play computer, always play computer. All right, so in here, when we looked at this, we could either leave that blank or non-numeric. Or we could put in a value that's out of range. Same thing for this one. So we have to account for all of that. All right? How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to come in here. We're going to say if, oops, that's not what we wanted. All right. So we want to say if is NaN. So if we put something non-numeric in for miles, we want to go and we want to set what's to the right of miles, which currently has just a red asterisk in it. We want to set that equal to miles must be numeric. Put that on a new line here. Miles must be numeric. So if that's the case, okay, we want to set the focus there. And we want to set our flag. So it's not valid anymore, so is valid is going to be equal to false. All right, so this handle the case of non-numeric input for miles. All right, so if that's the case, else handle the case of out of range input for miles. And what's out of range? That means that either we put in something under 1 or over 1,000. All right, so else if miles is less than min miles, or miles is greater than max miles. So if that's the case, we want to do almost the same thing that we did here, just we want the message to be different. So we want this to say miles must be between min miles and max miles. So say something like miles must be between 1 and 1,000. And again, we want to set the focus and set our is valid. All right, so that'll handle the case. We've now handled the case of both non-numeric input and out of range input. If it gets down to this else, all right, if it gets down to that point, valid input. So if that's the case, we want to just set this next sibling thing that we're working with to nothing. It's valid. All right, so this is going to handle all of our miles input. Now I'm going to take all of this here and grab every bit of it, copy it to the clipboard, hit enter a couple times, paste it in. Why am I doing that again? Well, because now I want to handle the case of gallons. Okay, so I'm going to have to change all these to gallons. This was gals. hopefully I handle everything that's in there. I think I did. So again, handle the case of out of range for gallons. No, I didn't. Gallons, gallons. Let's take it from the top here. Gallons, 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 gallons. So I think that's everything that's in there. All right, so if I've gotten down to this point, if is valid flag still true, if valid flag is still true, valid values were input for both miles driven, or just miles, and gallons. So call calculate MPG method to calculate the MPG. All right, so if is valid, and I know I've done this many, many times with you, but that's a shortcut for if is valid equal true. Okay, so if that's the case, $ MPG dot value equal, now we have to call the calculate, we haven't written this yet, calculate MPG, and we have to pass it in miles and we have to pass it in gallons. All right, so let's see. This, of course, will need a semicolon after it because it's a var. This is a var, so it'll need a semicolon after it. This is another anonymous function to calculate the MPG. So var calculate MPG equal function for which we're passing in miles and we're passing in gallons. We could have just called them that, but I just made it simple. So we want to return miles divided by gallons, but we want to return it .to fixed to 2 decimal places. All right. What's next? Well, we've now, again, play computer, because now we've handled this and this, and if we put in a valid value and we click calculate, we should have a value here, but we have to do our clear. When we clear, we want 3 things to happen. We want this to clear, this to clear, this to clear, and we want our cursor to go back into here. So I'm going to put those in, try to move that over too. I don't know why it isn't, but it's not. All right, so anonymous function to clear all text boxes and set focus. So again, var, we call it clear entries, is what I called it, equal function, paren. We also need a semicolon here, and we'll put one here so we don't forget it. So, $miles dot value equals the empty string, $gallons dot value equals the empty string, $MPG dot value equals the empty string, $miles dot focus. So we put the cursor there. Oh, I guess not only do we want to clear all text boxes and set the focus, we also set the span tag contents back to red asterisk. Okay. Miles dot next element sibling dot first child dot node value equals double quote asterisk double quote and gallons dot next element sibling dot first child dot node value equals same thing. All right. There's only one thing left to do, and that is set the Windows onload function. This associates, that's not spelled correctly, I don't think. This associate is the calculate method with the main, let's see, the calculate button with the main method, and also associates the clear button with the clear entries method. It also sets the focus to the first text box. So, window, one last time, window dot onload equal Windows.onload equal function paren. Oops. Again, let's immediately put in our semicolons so we don't forget it. And $ calculate dot on click equal main. We don't put parens here. Putting parens here would be incorrect because that would call the function. Clear, we don't want to call it, we want to do an association. On click equal clear entries. And finally, should be everything. If I didn't make any errors in my code, then we should be able to run this and see what happens. So let's go to MPG. I didn't see that actually put the cursor there, which it should have done. So 310, calculate 30, that's good, clear. That works. Let's put nothing in there. We get miles must be numeric and gallons must be numeric. Let's put in negative numbers, which are out of range for both. Miles Miles must be between 1 and thousands. Gallons must be between 1 and 100. Let's put very large values. Same thing, clear, gets it back. Real good. It appears to be working. The only thing is, for whatever reason, my buttons here should be moved over further, and they're not. I can't figure that out because I'd written this earlier doing it the same way, and they went over just fine. So let's see. Calculate, name equal calculate, class equals submit, and margin left 350 pixels. It is not recognizing that pound submit. Did I make that an ID, or did I say that it was a class in here? And that would do it. ID. Now let's see if that moved it over. Still did not. Doggone it. Not sure why it didn't. I'll have to look at that. If I figure out what it is, I'll let you know in a later lecture. So we now have our home, we've got our about, we've got our MPG. So the only thing left is our contact, and I will do that in the next lecture.